Hello everyone, it's Melody with Design by Melody. I'm here today with a 2-page spread for you. This is super uncommon for me. I rarely do 2-page spreads, but when I pulled out these photos, you're going to see there are 5 photo strips here, and I wanted to include them all on this page. But because this is going in an 8.5 by 11 album, it's my disc bound album that I'm using for 2020. I have limited space as far as where I can put things. So the maximum size page that can go in this album is 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to make both of these pages 8.5 by 11. And I'm just very quickly flipping through the papers that came in this kit, and I'm trying to decide what I'm going to use. So let me back up a little bit before we actually start creating the page. This is a Gossamer Blue kit. It's the main kit from August 2017, and I loved Gossamer Blue, but they're no longer in business and no longer offering kits, but these kits were absolutely beautiful. So I had to make sure that I use these kits because I think I would be really upset with myself if I found them a couple years from now and did not use them, because these are some of my favorite papers. So I really love the paper combination that they had here, and I really am a big fan of navy and pink together. Now, I think I had my lighting a little too bright, so it kind of is a little overexposed at times. So just kind of bear with me as you watch this video. And I have it sped up quite a bit because I guess I was a slow scrapper this day. I think I was watching TV. So I actually have this sped up fairly quickly, and I did a lot of pausing. So just trying to make sure that I make the most of this without making it 8 hours long. So anyways, I've got the photo strips kind of laid out the way I want them. The photos on the right side are, well, they're not really divided in any particular way. I did want the photo of Kaylin with the sunglasses, the second one from the left, kind of on this page because I'm going to have my title go right next to it. And I cut out these 2 little tags or labels, whatever you want to call them, from that sheet that had the cut apart papers. And then I also cut out this darker red one. And I'm going to do a little bit of journaling on there with the post-it note that was in the kit as well. I'm literally going through every single embellishment pack and paper that is in this kit and just trying to decide what I want to include on this paper or on this page or this layout. These 2 layouts, I guess, is what it would be. And I'm really kind of sticking with the colors that are on the paper. We have navy, we have white, we have pink, and we have red. And those are pretty much all the colors I'm going to include. Now I'm going to throw a few little bits of gray in there, and that's mainly because gray is what is matting my photos. I'm not going to double mat these photos because each photo already has a white line around it as well as the gray border. So I'm not going to, mat them a third time because they're already visually matted on the print itself. So these are photo strips. These photos are all from my cousin's wedding. My cousin got married in February, and they had a little photo booth prop thing at the reception, and we took full advantage of that photo booth and took tons of photos of our family. So it was my mom, myself, and my 2 sisters, and then all of our families. So we're each married and we each have children, so we were all there together. And there's a rare occasion that we all go to an event together. We do events together, but we don't normally all go together. We usually all get together at my mom's house, but there are very few times that we actually all attend the same event. So this was kind of rare. This was a rare occasion. And the fact that there was a photo booth at the event was even more fun because we really got to utilize the photo booth and take a lot of pictures because I really didn't take many pictures on my phone. So I took these pictures. So each time you took a picture in the photo booth, it printed 3 copies. So there was like 3 copies of each strip of 3 photos. And so we shared the photos amongst all of us. So I ended up with 5 different photo strips. And I think there were more because, again, it'd be my mom and my 3 sisters. So there's 4 sets of families here, and we shared all the photos between all of us. But as you can see, a lot of the photos are the same. It's just all of us being super goofy in the pictures. There's not a ton of journaling that goes along with this. It's really just about the pictures and just kind of getting them all in my scrapbook together. So the photos on the right side are going to be lined up just like this, evenly spaced, right side up, no angling. And then the 2 photos on the left side of this page are a little bit more angled, just barely overlapping at the bottom. I had to be careful when I overlapped not to cover up anybody in the picture, but I did a pretty good job. Nothing's really covered up, nothing important, just really covered up. So the journaling just says, the post-it note first of all says, the story, here are the details. And the journaling I put just says, Noah and Taylor had a photo booth at the wedding. It was a total hit. Loved it. Now my nephews all kept running back and forth, and Kaylin included, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to this photo booth. And they took full advantage. There are a ton of pictures of just the 4 of them, but they loved going into this photo booth. They thought it was so much fun. They thought it was the coolest thing ever. It was just really kind of a fun thing to have at this wedding. We really enjoyed it. I am utilizing 2 of the Vellum Circles, and I find those difficult to use because unless you're using them on white paper, it's kind of hard to read them. So the one that has the text on it is going on this navy paper, which makes it a little bit more legible. It is a pattern paper, but it's a very subtle print. It's a tone-on-tone subtle print. And basically it just says, yes, this is awesome. And then the other Vellum circle that I used, it has the same tone-on-tone pattern as the navy paper. It's just in a piece of vellum instead. So I've got that going off the edge of the pink side of this paper. Now to actually do the scrapbooking, I pretty much treated this as one large piece of paper. Yes, it is cut in the middle, but I kind of treated it like one large piece of paper. We're only going to have one title. We're only going to have one place for journaling. We have embellishment areas, but I'm trying to distribute the color and the shape, square versus circle, around the page to where there's not too much of one on one side of the page or too much of another on the other side of the page, but also that there's not too much total on both pages. I didn't want to have 15 circles on both pages, but I do have the circle elements repeating in a couple different places. And of course, I kept the color scheme pretty consistent across the 2 pages. The only thing that's majorly different are the background papers, but I think that adds a lot of character to the pages themselves by having the background papers, and they do balance each other. I definitely have more lighter embellishment pieces on the left side with the darker background, and then on the right side we have some darker element pieces on the lighter background, so they kind of balance each other back and forth. Now, I got to the point that I pretty much am done working with the kit, but I still wanted to add a couple of things to this page. I just had to decide what I wanted. So I have all of my, not all of them, okay. I do have all of my scraps sitting right beside my desk, but I have kind of like a basket on top with just a good array of scraps. It's not all of my scraps. I found that when I had all of my scraps together just for me to rifle through, it was hard to really figure out what I wanted to use because there's so much in there. So I took just a collection of scraps and I keep it kind of in like this tray bucket thing so I can pull from it when I need to. So I pulled just a little cut off piece of a tag and layered it behind that Happy Little Moments piece that I had cut out from the pattern paper. I am utilizing the enamel dots from the kit. These did come in the kit. I'm using the navy, kind of the tomatoey, orangey red, and then the lighter pink, which are really kind of the 3 main colors that I have on this page. And I wanted to trim, I see people do this all the time where they have the enamel dots go off the side of the page and you just kind of cut off a bit of the enamel dot and make it to where it's like a half dot. But it didn't really work for me. I had to actually take it off the page, cut it a little bit, and then put it back on the page. When I cut it when it was on the page, I like chipped the enamel dot, which is kind of funny. I was not expecting that to happen, but I did. Now, I thought that was a really nice way to use the larger enamel dots because I do struggle a bit sometimes using those large enamel dots. Okay, I've got the layout pretty much together here. Again, I'm just looking for a couple more things to embellish with. I felt like the layout was a little too simple still, so I find a scrap piece of paper, and I've used this paper many times. This is actually, I think it's an Echo Park piece of paper from years ago. It was a kit I bought at, like a collection pack I bought at Hobby Lobby, I think. And that was actually before Hobby Lobby was in my area. I used to go to the Hobby Lobby by my mom's house and I would buy all the collection packs that they had on clearance. And that's when they would do, they don't do this at my Hobby Lobby anymore. Now they move all their clearance to a particular section, but at this time, that's when they had all of the clearance stuff in their own section. So like all the paper crafting clearance was in that section, all of the, and then you can see I'm watching TV, I'm like stopping. So like all the paper crafting clearance would stay in the paper crafting section. And I found that I would just go in and I would buy every single paper collection that was on clearance that I didn't already own. So I ended up with a pretty large supply of Echo Park specific products, because that they just seem to always be at Hobby Lobby, and they usually were stocked pretty well of Echo Park products, which I really do like Echo Park designs. I'm pretty sure this is an Echo Park. I'm saying all that and then meant to watch it not even be Echo Park. I really do think it is Echo Park. But anyways, this was from a paper collection that I had purchased from Hobby Lobby. I do know that for sure. So just trimming out some of these roses, and I'm going to use them as layering elements. They match the pink on the right side, the background paper on the right side, perfectly. So I'm going to trim out some of the different roses, and we're going to use those as embellishment pieces on this layout. I am cutting off the leaves and the stems. I don't need that. I really just need the the pink. I didn't want to bring in green, which would be another color that has not been introduced on this page yet. And I'm really just using the roses to stick out from behind different parts on my page. I'm not going to have any of these roses independently placed on this page. They're all going to be sticking out from behind other elements that are on the page. I love fussy cutting. I think that is one of the more therapeutic parts of paper crafting. If you don't like to fussy cut, I don't know. It's just, for me, that's one of those things that's just super soothing to my brain. I enjoy the process of it. I think it's a great way to kind of really appreciate the papers for what they are, and just to be able to kind of use the papers a little bit differently than what they may have been designed for. So I'm tucking them around the page, and this is exactly where they're going to go. I'm just going to add some adhesive to them. It's just really putting a couple florals around different parts of the page, primarily tucked under the larger elements that are on the page, like these photos and these tags, and under my little journaling spot. Now, I thought I was done, and then I went to go turn off my camera, and I realized I don't have a title at all on this page. I could use Happy Little Memories as my title, or A Little Adventure, or something like that, but I decided instead of using those, because it's not really distinguishable as to which one would be the title, I'm going to use these LE Studio tile alphas that I have, and they're in a gray with white text on them, and I'm just going to put the words "Say Cheese." And I had a problem pulling some of the little tiles off the page, so I have to end up using some liquid glue behind them to get those adhered down. So it's just going to say cheese, and that is going to be my title. Now, with it kind of being sticking off to the side, because it was definitely an afterthought, I decided to pull out a couple hearts from my stash, and I tried to use these sticker hearts, but they were a little too transparent to go on the dark blue background. And so I just have this little bin of punched hearts and stars that I used to punch out of any kind of scrap papers that I have. I clearly have plenty, so there's no need to punch scrap papers right now with these little hearts. But if I ever do run low in this little bin, I will definitely do that. So I just add a few hearts around the page, and then that finishes off this layout. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. This was such a fun layout to make, especially pulling out an old kit that I loved but had never really broken into. It was really a lot of fun, and there still are a lot of elements left in this kit that I have not used, such as the stamping. I did a little bit of stamping, but not a whole lot. I put On the Go and High Five, but those are pretty much the only areas of stamping that I used. And then you can see a little bit more of these photos. That one with Kaylin with his hands on his chin, that's the one I wanted to go next to the one that says Happy Little Memories right there to the left of that title. So thank you so much for watching this today. I appreciate all of your support and kindness. Leave me any questions or comments you have below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And also make sure that you're subscribed to my channel so you can get updates anytime I post new layouts, as well as make sure that you check out my last video. All right, guys, thank you so much. Bye.